Gentlemen, Chair, now recognize the gentleman from Mississippi, General Kelly, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And my first question is for you, General Langley. And have you seen a shift in the Wagner forces available in Africa with the shift to Ukraine, or has it pretty much stayed consistent since they got more deeply involved in Ukraine?
Congressman, that's a great question. I have not seen a shift, but here's what my analysis would tell me, though, that they wouldn't have what you have on the African continent is a false value proposition of security. So I don't think they're going to have their experts on the continent of Africa for that purpose. They're going to have the businessmen that are trying to make their way to the mines for profit.
And I'm going to follow up on Seth Moulton's, because I agree with him. We need to be forward-leaning in diplomacy. And right now, the partner of choice around the world, whether that's South America or CENTCOM or AFRICOM, is the United States military. However, our State Department sometimes make that very, very difficult. So we have Jackson Vanik and a lot of things that we punish people wholly when we see their policies don't align with U.S. policies. And that's not a bad thing. There's a purpose for that. But do you guys see any way that we can do that on a sliding scale and a reward punishment basis as opposed to a wholesale, you acted bad, so therefore we're not going to do any IMET with your country anymore. We're not going to provide U.S. aid to your country anymore. We're not going to do anything where we completely cut them out and create a vacuum in those countries where they have to choose China or Russia because we're not available because of our State Department. And I use a prime example. I visited 5 countries in Africa last July, May or July, somewhere around that time frame. And I went to Tunisia, Burkina Faso, Chad, Ethiopia, and Djibouti. And in all those, we had State Department restrictions that were preventing us from being effective as a military as we can. What is the solution to this so that we can build those future leaders in those countries instead of just saying no, we can do an incentive-based program as opposed to just saying no? Any ideas?
Congressman, the 7008 sanctions on that country, but restrictions for me, I have to look at the whole government approach. For example, Burkina Faso 708 was imposed, but I had to thank you for, I just really want to thank you for the language within the 8823 that says notwithstanding authorities. There are still some notwithstanding authorities. And that's why at Flintlock that we had last week, major exercise in West Africa, the Burkinabes were there. They were there. So until this is a message to them that they need to set the stage to return back to democratic norms. But across the whole government, I met with State Department last week, so they also have some activities and investments that they can do to be able to employ in Ouagadougou because Ambassador Clark, she's looking for what CT mechanism that we can do to still engage with Burkina Faso so they can embark upon the fight against violent extremist organization.
Thank you. Let me kind of get, I got one more question, but I think you're 100% right. And I just think we really have to work this problem set because there's a lot of opportunities that we're missing, and we're giving opportunities to our competitors by not using a reward system to modify behavior to our culture. The final thing, and General Kurilla, you've done an outstanding job in your predecessors. The state partnership programs, and we need to get stronger in Africa, General Langley, but you've done an outstanding job of using that resource, which is a low-resourced, dollar-wise programs, which can be very, very effective. But it also takes, at your levels, engaging with those state partnership adjutant generals to make sure that their priorities align with your priorities in those countries that they represent. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity, and just if you can comment on those.
Congressman, thanks. If I could just back up one on the IMET program, I think that's the highest return on investment for every dollar we spend, because I will tell you in the CENTCOM region, many of our chiefs of defense went to school at our military school of professional military education back in the States. I thank you for what Mississippi does with Uzbekistan. I think we do have great alignment, and the return on investment we get from our state partnership program is significant, and it's one of the highest requested things from a lot of our countries in the region.
I thank the gentleman. Chair